All right, I have a word for you. God will not forsake you. He will not abandon you. Scripture says that God is not a man that he should lie. Yes, men can lie to you. They can promise you something, and tomorrow they change their minds. But Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He never changes. That means if he promised you something, he will fulfill it. He will not forsake you nor leave you. He is not like people who, when you have good things, they are your friends. They become friends with you when you are doing well. When you are prospering, they easily attach to you. But when you fall into trouble, when all hell has broken loose in your family, in your life, then they leave you, they forsake you. But God will always be with you. He is God in the valley and God on the mountain. He is God in the storm and God in the fire. He still remains the same. If he says he will deliver you, surely he will deliver you. Now, I want to read to you a scripture that is in the book of Nehemiah 9:17. Nehemiah 9:17. Very powerful scripture. And it reads, "They refused to obey, and they were not mindful of your wonders that you did among them, but they hardened their necks, and in their rebellion they appointed a leader to return to their bondage. But you are God, ready to pardon, gracious and merciful, slow to anger, abundant in kindness, and did not forsake them. Even when they made a molded calf for themselves and said, 'This is your God that brought you up out of Egypt and worked great provocations. Yet in your manifold mercies you did not forsake them in the wilderness. The pillar of the cloud did not depart from them by day to lead them on the road, nor the pillar of fire by night to show them light and the way they should go. You also gave your good spirit to instruct them and did not withhold your manna from their mouth, and gave them water for their thirst. 40 years you sustained them in the wilderness. They lacked nothing. Their clothes did not wear out, and their feet did not swell. Moreover, you gave them kingdoms and nations and divided them into districts. So they took possession of the land of Shihon, the land of the king of Heshbon, and the land of Og, king of Bashan." That is very powerful. It is a very powerful scripture that says that God did not forsake his children, even when they had rebelled against him, even when they made up gods for themselves. God still remembered them. He still wanted to reach out to them. He still sent prophets to warn them, to instruct them. His good spirit was with them. A pillar of cloud was with them. God was always with them. He gave them manna. Now, for those who do not know what manna is, manna literally means food. That he gave them supernatural food. They did not even thirst. It is amazing that God will fight for you, that God will always be with you. He will never leave you. Remember, it is always us who leaves God, but he is always there waiting for us. Now, I love what the scripture says is that 40 years you sustained them in the wilderness. They lacked nothing. Their clothes did not wear out, and their feet did not swell. For all those years that you have been, God has sustained you. Look at the pandemic that has wiped out a lot of people. A lot of people have been crying out. But you have been sustained. You have lacked nothing. The scripture says, their clothes did not wear out. Now, for those who do not know, that the conditions in the wilderness were so terrible that for you to have a cloth that does not wear out, that means God has to be in it. They did not have good clothes that we wear. They did not have well-knit clothes. They did not have it. But God sustained them to an extent that their feet did not swell up. Some of them walked on bare feet. Imagine how it is to walk on a dry ground in a desert on feet, how hot the ground is. Most of you are so privileged that you have clothes, you have shoes. You have never known how it is to walk on bare feet. But God sustained these people. And He says, moreover, you gave them kingdoms and nations. God will give you kingdoms and nations. He will give them into your hands. He will not depart from you. He will always be with you. He is ready to pardon. If you can only believe in Him, if you can only come to a point where you can acknowledge how great He is. Remember the battles that you won, the giants that you had to slay. Some of you have forgotten how hard it was in the past, how terrible it was. There were a lot of giants that you slayed on the way. There were a lot of people that were after you, but you were able to overcome them. It is because God has been with you. Come back to God, for He is always waiting for you to come back to Him. He will never forsake you, never leave you, nor forsake you. Well, I thank everyone who has watched this video and who has listened to this great message. Go ahead and share this message with your friends. Let me know in the comment section if you have a condition that has been stagnant for so long. Let me know and I will pray for you. I will pray for you. And until next time, be blessed.